Hello and welcome back. So today we are going to look at background services here. In our last video, we looked at our backend here, and also we created our MongoDB. We made sure that we connected to our backend. Also, we created CRUD operations like create the expense to the database. Also, we created things like deletion, update, and posting, that is creation, and also things like updating and getting all expenses and things like that. So today we are going to test our backend here, and then we are going to proceed with the background services here, where we are going to create our automation. So remember, we already created MongoDB, and we have our MongoDB right here. So if you haven't gone through the other video, kindly go back and watch the other video that I created, the video one, and also you can be able, so that we can be able to be on the same boat. The other thing is, remember to like and also make sure that you have subscribed if you haven't subscribed. And now let's get into the video. Here I'm using Postman. So this is the software that I'm calling Postman. And if you don't have Postman, you can install it because it will be helping you to test your backend whenever you don't have the maybe front end whereby you can be able to see, or maybe if you want to test your backend without having the front end. So what we are going to do here is that I'm going to create a request, or maybe I'm going to create correction whereby the correction will hold out all of our requests. So here I'm going to create a correction. So let me create blank correction here like that. And I'm going to name this correction. So let me name this correction here. I'm going to call it expense tracker, or maybe it's still being created. So that's why you can see here this is loading. So here also you can see there is another correction here. So because this is still loading, what we can do also is to make sure that we go through our backend so that you understand. So here we have our backend, and remember we created this model here, and this model contains things that we are going to save into our database. Also, this is the structure of our database. Our database will have these values. We have label, we have value, which is amount for our expense, and also we have date. So the other thing is that in our routes here, we created the functionality that we are going to use to create the an expense to the database. Let me push this down. And also we are going to use, or we are going to do get all expenses. You can see get all expenses here. Also update an expense, and also delete an expense here. Those are the things that we are going to do from our backend. So I'm going to just close this folder here that we are calling backend, and I'm going back to Postman here. And in a Postman, I'm going to create now this correction here. First of all, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it expense tracker. So make sure if you don't have this Postman, make sure that you have Postman. And also I have made my Postman to be in this dark mode. That's why you can see it is dark, but mostly you can find your Postman will not have this dark mode. So I'm going to call this expense tracker. And the other thing is that here I can have the first request. So I have a request here, and you can see this request is from HTTP localhost and then the server. But here, because our server is running on port 5000, we are going to change that. So you can see here this is 5000. So I'm going to come back here and change. This one should be 5000, and also API here. This one should be expenses. So this is expenses like that. The other thing is here also I'm going to, let me just check here. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename this request to add expense, sorry. So this one will be add expense like that. And then also we can have now the values that we are going to send to our database. So the first one here will be now the value. So let me change here to value. So you can create your own. So here we have value, and also we are going to have label. We have label here, and also we have date. So let me create date here. So we have date, and we can have the date here. So this date can be maybe something like 20, maybe this month, and then not like let's say last month, and then 2024, like that. And also here for the value is just amount, and which we can add as a integer. So here I can say $120, and then the label here, I'm going to change this to maybe something like internet. So this is an internet bill, like that. So I'm going to use small letter here. So I don't know why I'm not able to use small letter there. So here I can add a capital I. So here I can make a post request here to my backend, and let us see. So here we have value, we have label, and we have date. So when we send here, you can see this is not getting this an API and then expenses, and this is because I have added expenses here, API that is, sorry, rather than adding expenses like that. So if I send now, be able to see now we have this part here, and you can see 0201 created. So I'm going back to my database. So here in my database, if I reload again and then see if that expense was created in our database. So it is reloading. So let's see. So before it reload, I can explain what is happening. So here in our backend, this is our entry file this is our entry file that we are calling index.js. And this is where now you find that when we send the request, and the request matches these expenses, it will come here, hit these expenses here, and then it will go and check for expenses, this expense route here. So then that request will be sent to our routes here where we have our logic, and inside here in our logic, it will be check which method is it. So here you can see the method is post, and then here now things like now saving will be done here, and you can see we are sending the request using request body. So let me see if the database has already the database is has loaded. So here I can go to collection. So let's see if I'm getting the saving. So here you can see already the expenses have been made, but here you can be able also to see that yeah we have not saved anything. So what I'm going to do is that let me just try and save it again, and then know where the problem is. So here we have we have another expenses that I have sent and try to save into our database. So I think there's some problem somewhere. So here we have the label, so it is still loading. So you can see we don't have the label, the value, and everything. So here you can see only we are just having only the ID and then this underscore v. So let's go into our logic here, and let's see what is happening. So right here I'm going to first of all console log. So console log, and then request.body, like that. So let's make sure that we have this, and I know where the problem is. So I know where the problem is, and the problem that we are having is that our server is not understanding our request. So I'm going to come here in our index.js, and because here in Postman, if you look here, you can be able to see that we are using the raw data here, and also we are using JSON data, and that's why we need to make sure that our server understand the JSON data. So to do that, we are going to come here into middleware, and I'm going to do app.use, and then here I can say express.json, like that. And then I think now this will work. So express.json, and then let's send this again. So I'm going to send that, and let me reload again here, be able to see if our application will work. So it is reloading, and also here let me see the code. So in our expense here we are going to send this, expense here. So here we have new expense, and also let me see if this is working. So here we have 3, but it still is not working. So I'm going to delete all of these documents here like that. And then also I'm going to delete this here. So now let's see where the problem is. So here I don't understand where the problem is. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to know if we are sending the right information. So request.body, and then let's console log that and save this. So when I just save, and you can see our nodemon is reloading. So let's see if it will print our request.body here and see what the data is being sent. So let me just do that. So send that, and here we'll be able to see, you can see here this is undefined. So that means it doesn't understand, or it is not sending any data. So what we are going to do now, let's go back and check where the problem is. If you check into our Postman here, you can be able to see that we are sending using Postman, and you can see also it is /expenses, also the value, and then the value, the label, and then the date. So this one is creating, but I don't know why you're having that problem. So let me check also in our model if we have the same. We have the label, which is of type string, and also we have value, which is value is number. Let me also check that. So that is value, and also we have date, which is also a string. So that is it. So let me first of all pause the video and then see where the problem is, and also I will explain to you where the problem is. So now I have checked where the problem was, and this is because I used routes here before this update, or this middleware that is for checking the JSON data or converting data to JSON, and also, or maybe the Express are accepting the JSON data, and also making sure that Express itself understand that Express the JSON data. So what we are going to do is that you need to remove these routes up here and make sure that it is here down the middleware, so that every time that you are making the request, when the Node.js is running this application, first of all, it will be accepting or understanding the JSON data before even it goes to this route here. So let us save this, and then let's now continue. Let's create another expense. So when we send here like that, you'll be able, and then come back to here in our MongoDB, and then reload again. We'll be able to see that we are creating expenses now. So after it has loaded, let's see. So here we'll be able to see we have these two bills that we have created here. So internet bill. So this one I created when I was testing where the problem is, and this one is the one that we have sent right now. And now if we can do this now, we can create another request here, and this request here we are going to call it get all expenses. So I'm going to name here, or to create another request. So where is the request? Add request, and then this request here, I'm going to call this request. Let me rename here to this request here. We are going to name it, let me name it get all expenses. Get all expenses like that. And then here we can be able to use now these expenses like that. And I think now this is okay, because getting expenses, we don't send data. Actually, we are receiving the data. So if I do send, here we can be able to see here we are getting 500, and then 500 internal error. And then the other thing is that here I need to first of all remove this line of code that is printing our bills at console. So I'm going to go back here, and the other thing that I'm going to do is to remove this. So first of all, let me remove this, And the other thing is to come here to our all expenses, and I'm going to console log. So here I'm going to console log. So here we have expense and dot find, and also here when we try to find also, if I try to click send here, can be able to see it is giving us 500 error, or maybe it has refused. So here let me also scroll this up, and here we can be able to see we cannot get the expenses, and I think I know why. And this is because here we forgot to use await, because this is a synchronous operation. So let me save that, and then let me try again. So it is reloading, so let it reload, and then I think now it's okay. So let me send now the request. So if I do this already, you can see the expenses here. You can see expenses here. We have expenses, that is array, and it has all these expenses inside here. And I don't want the way the expenses have been sent. You can see here expenses is being sent from the like an object, and this object has a key here that is expenses, and then the array here. So I don't want that, so I'm going to make sure that I change that. And to do that, I'm going to remove these curly braces here. Let me remove these curly braces, that, and then now let me send the request again. So I can send the request here. So let me send the request. Yeah, you can be able to see now this is just an array that has expenses inside it, so as elements also. So here I'm going also to see the update function. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to create another request. So add request here, and for this one, let me rename it to something like delete. So I'm going to have a delete request here. So I'm going to rename it to delete an expense, delete an expense, like that. And also this should be add an expense. So I'm going to rename it also here. So rename an expense, like that. So delete an expense, and here we need to change it to delete. So also here I can be able to take this local host here, and then here I can be able to use now the ID. So I'm going to come here and also take the ID for this one here. Let me copy this ID, and then in our delete we need to use that here. So I'm going to add it there, and then I'm going to delete. So send. So if I do that, you can see delete successfully. And when you want to confirm that, you can come here to get all expenses, and when we make sure that we just send the request, also you can see the expenses are 3, but there were 4, that is. So I'm going also to copy this and also delete this one here. So I'm going to come here and also change the ID here, and then delete this one also. So let me delete that. You can see delete successfully. Also here I can be able to make a send like that, and also now you can be able to see that we have only 2 expenses. So now I'm going to create another request here. So I'm going to have a request, add a request, and this request I'm going to name it to update an expense. So I'm going to create here update an expense. So update an expense, like that. And here we need to change the method here to put, and also here we can be able to have expenses, but here we need also to have like the ID that we want to change. So I'm going to come here, and because we have ID for these expenses, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to copy all of this ID like that. And then here I'm going to go back to my expense to update expense like that. Let me add the ID there. The other thing is that I'm going to go to the body because I need to send the data that I want to update with. So I'm going to go to row, and then this is JSON, so I can send the data here. So for example, I want to change the label, and the label will be maybe something like maybe snacks. And then let's send this and see if our expense will be updated. So let me send this, and here you can see that this label has been, or this expense has been updated. And to make sure that it has been updated, we can come here to get all expenses, and when you just send this request, you'll be able to see now this one is snacks and not internet bill. So I have shown you how to use Postman in order to test your backend. So the other thing that we are going now to create is our background services. So let me close this now, and I'm going to close all of this here so that we get into our background services. So click that, and I think also the other thing that I can do is to make sure that I push this code to my GitHub. So I'm going to come here, and let me just go to my GitHub. So into my GitHub here, I'm going to create another repository. So here I'm going to create another repo, and this repo here we are going to give it, or to call it YouTube expense tracker app like that. And also you can be able to clone this, or maybe you'll be keeping a track of what I'm doing. So I'm going to create this repo like that, and then I'm going to initialize Git in this project. So in this project that is called expense tracker here, I'm going to do git init like that. You can initialize, you can see it is the first command here, but these other commands here I can just skip them. And what I can do is to just do git commit, or maybe first of all let me add everything in this code. So, and also I can commit, so git commit -m, and then added backend, does something of the sort. So we have added the backend. And the other thing is that also we can have this part that we are calling, or this, or maybe we can add this repo, or we can connect our Git with this remote repo here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it here. And then the other thing is that we can be able to push. And before we push, we can do git branch to confirm which branch we should push. So you can see we have this that is called master. So I'm going to do git push origin and then master like that. Git push origin master. So let us push this code. So let me add the key phrase here. And then let me push that code, and when I reload here now, so let us reload this application. Already you can be able to see now that our code has been pushed, and because other folders like frontend and background services are empty, that's why you can see like Git or always ignore them. It ignored them. And also the other thing that I want you to notice is that in our backend here we don't have .env file, and that's because we specified here in this file that we're calling git ignore. We specified that file that we don't want to push any .env file and also node modules, because if you check here also in our backend, you'll not be able to see node modules folder. So that is it. I'm going to close this also. So let me close it like that. Also, I think I'm going to close this database. So now let's get into our background services. So our background services, this is where we are going to create an application that will be running in the background, and also it will be checking if the total expenses have reached $10,000, and then it will be sending email. So to start with, I'm going to initialize a backend application, and this will be a node application. So let me get into that folder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open another terminal, and I'm going to push this so that we can have a better area to work on. And here I'm going to get now to background services. Background, this one should be background services, like that. And since I'm here, I'm going to initialize node application. So npm init and then -y, like that. So, and then you'll be able to see that it will be initialized by first creating this package.json. Inside here also, I'm going to create index.js. This is our entry file into our server. So also we are going to create .env here, because remember, this is also a node application, and here we are going to add port. We are going to have a port which is we are going to give it 5001, and here we need also to have db connection. So db underscore connection here, like that. And here we are going to, because remember in our application here we are sharing the background services and the backend here, they are sharing the same MongoDB. So what I'm going to do also is that I'm going to use the same MongoDB. So I'm going to come here into .env, and then I'm going to copy this URL here because it's the same. And actually what I can do, that is okay. So let me paste this here. So I'm having those two now. So what I'm going to do also is to make sure that I install now the packages. So I'm going to clear here, and I'm going to do npm install. So let's say the packages that we are going to install in our background services, and the very first package that we are going to install is Express. And also here we are going to install other things like Node Mailer, because we need Node Mailer to be able to send emails. So the first thing is Express. The other thing is we need cron or Node cron. This is a package that will help us to send the emails. So the other thing is not to send email, but to schedule tasks. So also we are going to have like another .env, and also we are going to have mongoose. We are going to have also others, like also, I think these are okay for now, but we can have EJS, but we are not going to use EJS. So we can have all this, but I think this is just okay. So let me install the packages. So while it is installing here, you can see here we are using node cron, and because node cron is very important in this section of background services. So let's look at node cron. So you can come here and look for node cron. So you can see this is node cron here, and we can come here to node cron from npm, and here you can be able to see how you can install it. It is called node cron. The other thing is this, you can read this documentation. You can see here the node cron module is a tiny task scheduler in pure JavaScript for Node.js based on cron tab. This module allows you to schedule tasks in Node.js using full cron tab syntax, and need a job scheduler with support for worker threads and cron syntax throughout the job. So you can see you can install it, and how you need to install to use it. Import node cron and schedule a task. So this is how you are able to use it. So the other thing here is you can see when you are scheduling a task, you use this asterisk here, and each and every of these asterisks represent a certain thing. For example, here you can be able to see what these asterisks mean. For example, this asterisk means second. The other one is minute. So this one is an hour. So this is the day of the month. This is the month itself, and also here we have the day of the week. So that means that you can schedule the task that can be running at any given second, at any given time, at any given hour, and also at any day of the month, and any month, and any day of the week. So that means you can have maybe a schedule that you want to run after every second, maybe every Wednesday in every week, maybe every month, or maybe a certain month like September, maybe even May. Also, you can see here how to use it, and you can see this is the representation. Like here, console log here, it can let you know that this one is running every minute, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 2, 4, and 5. Also here you can be able to see other ways of using it. For example, you can specify like the month. For example, here you can see this task here will be running January, September, and then Sunday. So every Sunday of January and September. So running on Sundays of January and September. So you can use it like this, but don't worry if you're not understanding. I'm going to show you how to use it. So also you can use cron tab guru to be able to understand this. So if you come here and come to cron tab guru here will be able to understand. So this one you'll be able to use this. You can be able to use this to play with and know how you can be able to schedule the task. So you can go through this if you have time. Now let's get into our application again. So in our application here, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to import here Express. So const Express, and here we are going to require Express. So that is importing. So also the other thing that we are going to import is cron. So const cron, and then also we are going to have require here, and this is cron, node cron like that. The other thing is we need to have an app, so we can be able to initialize the app. So const app, and this one we can call express function like that. Also we are able to use things like .env, so const.env, and this one is from .env, so require .env like that. The other thing is that we can import is mongoose, so const mongoose like that, and then this one is we require from mongoose. You can be able to see the package here. And then the other thing that we are going to have is now, first of all, to configure.env. So .env.config, call this function here like that. So the other thing is that we need to create our server here. So for this server, first thing we need to connect to our database. So I'm going to call mongoose and then .connect. So when we connect here, we need to use the port, the URL that is inside here, this one. And also we are going to use the port. So we are going to use process.env.db connection. So db underscore connection. So connection like that, because you can see this variable is inside here. Let's see. So you can see this is the variable. The other thing is we can be able to come here and also be able to do .then, because when we connect here, we need to know if it has connected successfully. And the other thing that we need to know is that if there is an error, so we can have .then, and here we can have also this part here. And then here we can say console log, and then here I can say db connection connection is successful. I don't know why I'm having this here, this text. So I'm going to push this down first of all. So here we can have DB connection is successful. So then here we can have dot catch. You can see catch error. So here this is error. So error like that. And here we can be console log the error. So console log error like that. So that means that we'll be getting the error when we try and when we are going to try and maybe run this application, and maybe there is an error that happens between when we are connecting to a database. So that is it. So the other thing that we are going to do is to reason now, or create our this application. So we are going to do app.reason, and here we are going, first argument that we are going to use is the port. So .env port like that. And also here we can have now the, or we can add console log, and in here we can add this backtick, and here we can be able to add server is running on port, and then we can use text interpolation. So we can use now process.env like that, and then we can run our application. So let's see our application if it will run. So I'm going to come here and push this up. So the other thing is that I'm going to use Nodemon because I had already installed Nodemon globally, and then I can call this index.js, and when we try to run our application here, you can be able to see the server is running on port 5001 and DB connection is running successful. And here we cannot be able to use the port like 5000 because our server that is for our backend is running on the same port. So you'll have that error. You have an error. So but we are connecting with the same database. So that is it. So the other thing that I want to show you is how to use the scheduling, or to schedule the task. So here I'm going to have a function that I'm going to call schedule like that, and this one here we are going to call it, or we are going to have an arrow function. So here I'm going to now to be able to use now this node cron. So I'm going to come here, and actually I can be able to make sure that I copy this here like that, and this running a task every minute. So this is 1 2 3 4 5. This one are 6. So I want my mind to run after every minute. So when I paste this, I can paste this here, running a task every minute. So this one, if we save this, and then we can be able to run it down here, can call schedule. So like that. So this means that it will be running after every minute. So this is just schedule, not like a cron.schedule. So if I save this, this means that my application will be running after every minute. So if I come here, so let me first of all make sure that I just rerun my application. So I'm having this error. So schedule is not defined. So let me just come back here. So this one is telling me this one is not defined. So I'm going to call it another name. So let me call this another name. So run like that, and also I can be able to use run here. So I'm going to use run here like that. So let me see if this will work now. So if I save that, and then I can be able to see now this one is working here. So server is running on port 5000. So when you wait after every minute, you'll be able to see this console log here running a task after every minute. but I want my task to run after every second. So if we wait, you'll be able to see that this one, after every minute, it will be console log here, this text here, running a task after every minute. But I want my task to run after every second. So to do that, I'm going to change here to second. So let me change this second to second here. So I'm going to change here to second, and then here I'm going to add another asterisk. So I'm going to add another asterisk here to be 6, because every asterisk mean different thing. So when you do that, you can be able to see now here, you can be able to see that it is running after every minute. But when I save now my server, let us wait, it will be running after every second. So you can see here, it's running after every second. You can see after every second, it is running. So that is it. So it will be, what it will be doing, after every second, it will be checking our database and then find if we have any, if our expenses have exceeded $10,000, and then it will send the email. So that is the work of these background services. So let me make sure that I just make sure that this server is not running. So I'm going to Control C and then terminate it. So that is it. So now we have built, first of all, the background or the scheduler. So in the next video now, we are going to continue with building our background services, and we are going to look at how to send email now, and a scheduled email using this cron tab or this cron schedule here. So let me see you in the next video. Have a great day. Remember to subscribe and also like this video, and also turn on the notification bell. Have a great day.